Thanks, Dax, for the nice introduction, and thanks to Jim for inviting me to this interesting round here, discussing the net positive concept and also what we have been publishing as our corporate carbon footprint. And I'm really looking forward to the discussions later on also, whether you think this is part of a net positive movement. So let me first explain how we see sustainability. What is our understanding of sustainability? Well, I guess we all know that trying to fulfill society's demands and needs, we are using up too much currently of what the Earth has and what can be regenerated. So at BASF, our view is that we have to balance economic, environmental, and social needs in order to find the best available solutions. This is essential to ensure that we are really able to move to a more sustainable future. And just like what Ian just said, we are really convinced that if we work this way and are able to contribute to finding these solutions, this is basically what will ensure that we are still in business in the next 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years or longer. So we really see this as a growth driver for our business. And of course, for a chemical company that needs a lot of energy to produce its products and thereby also generates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, the question of how do we deal with this sustainability issue of climate protection, climate change, this is something we have been thinking about for a couple of years already. And 5 years ago, in 2008, we published our first corporate carbon footprint, which is the quantitative summary of what we see as our role as a chemical company to answer this climate protection challenge. And this is what the results we just published for the year 2012. So what you see, our corporate carbon footprint consists of 2 feet. It's the 2 legs we are standing on. On the one hand, we have the emissions that our operations cause. And it's the emissions that are caused along the complete value chain. So in the center here, you have the emissions caused in our own production, our plants and energy generation facilities. But then we also look at the upstream value chain and the downstream value chain. What sort of emissions are our suppliers causing? What is caused by the use of our end products? And what is caused in the end when the products are disposed at the end of their life? All this is being done on the basis of the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which since a bit more than 1 year also has a methodology for how to report on the emissions along the value chain. And actually just last week, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development published a separate chemical sector guideline on how to do such things, where we work together with 10 chemical companies on really looking into the Greenhouse Gas Protocol methodology. How does that have to be used for the chemical industry? So what Ian just said, that is really important to look into metrics and to understand how you could calculate such things. I can only agree with that. This is really the experience we had over the last 5 years when from the first time we published our corporate carbon footprint to this year. But this is only one part. The other part, which is probably more interesting, at least in our company, has created a different drive. This is the orange foot, and this is about the products that we sell. As a chemical company, in the beginning of the value chain, we produce many products that go into low-carbon technologies in the end. We are not making the final solution, but we are making very important parts that enable these final solutions to be really manufactured. And about 5 years ago, we thought we have to somehow also quantify what we are doing there, so that we can also measure and develop a plan where do we want to go with these products. And this is what is the yellow foot. We look at the complete value chain, the whole life cycle of about 40 product groups, calculate the carbon emissions that are caused along the complete life cycle, and compare it with a relevant product for comparison. This is for the same user benefit, a different product that is also in the market. And then we see whether our products along the complete life cycle cause less emissions than the product for comparison. And you see here the result of 2012. Altogether, the value chains where our products are in cause less greenhouse gas emissions than the products for comparison. Altogether, with the products that we sold in 2012, the avoided emission add up to 320 million metric tons. So just to give you a feeling of what products are behind those 320 million tons of avoided emissions, most of these products actually go into the housing and construction sector. A big chunk here is products for insulation of buildings to increase the energy efficiency of buildings, or products to reduce the energy that is needed to make concrete. But there are also products going into other sectors, for example, fuel additives, which reduce the fuel consumption of cars, or products for renewable energy, like wind power and solar energy. If we add up all those products that we call climate protection products, we find that it's 9% of the sales in 2012 that is generated by these products. So this comes back to what Ian said. This is also about solid business. Of course, it's nice to know where you are, but we do these calculations in order to also develop a plan of where do we want to go. And here, once again, we think it's important to have goals for both parts of our corporate carbon footprint. So we want to increase the greenhouse gas emissions reduction by those products for climate protection. And this is why we spend so much money on R&D for energy efficiency and climate protection products. You'll notice there's just a plus, there's not a quantitative figure. This has to do with the difficulty of finding an exact methodology. We are not there yet, so for the time being it's a qualitative target, but I think we'll be at a quantitative target eventually. It's a bit different for the emissions caused along the value chain. You see here we have a quantitative target for reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from our own production. The rest of the value chain, again, qualitative targets, because working together with suppliers, reducing emissions from transport, these are things that at the moment are still difficult to really have quantitative targets on. To summarize, for us it's really important to work on both sides, work on both foots. Increase emission avoidance by products, but also look at the emissions you cause and make sure you reduce these. Thanks.